Live on Tuesday, January the 7th. Happy Tuesday. This is a Super Tuesday in its own way. I'm in the Los Angeles area. I see that there is a lot of stuff going on outside, a whole lot of stuff going on energetically. Let's let a few people come on in here before we get started. Let's let a few people come on in here. Hi, how you doing? What's good? What's going on? How we doing out there? Hey. Buenas tardes. Happy Tuesday. This live isn't going to be for everybody. I'm just going to let you know. It's going to be storytelling time. A whole lot's been going on in the world right now. Shout out Trent. Shout out Aubrey. Everybody type where you're at in the comments really quick. I'm going to give it a quick one. What's going on? Pinworms in the fog. You got weather. You got fog. The winds are like 75 miles per hour out here. Obviously, there's a fire in Hollywood. That's probably symbolic. But let me just first start off by saying they have been spraying the skies. I went outside earlier. The sun was out shining. Wasn't really much chemtrails, but my eyes were burning. I could feel it. And I'm far, far away from the fire. There's something going on. A little congestion, a little nasally, little throat going on. Their time is up. The powers that be, our opponent in this matrix. I'm going to take you back to a time whenever I first woke up and I had my CBD store in Webster, Texas. I was right by NASA. And I started to tell my story, and then in the beginning, again, on 11/11/2021, I came out as an alien. On the couch at my CBD store, it was a chance for me to speak my truth because I started having telepathic communications with people. I started having all these things happen. And then I started initially on TikTok. Again, I've talked about this before. Initially it was a dancing app for kids, and then I saw it was very conscious. And I watched this program and they were talking about TikTok, and they said you should start your journey on TikTok. And then the next morning I saw in a drive-thru it said FYP420, which everybody knows the hashtag FYP is for your page. So started telling my story on TikTok, and I came out as a starseed, a light worker, an empath, and just started sharing my journey. The next thing you know, I used to go live all the time and I would take guests on. And when I would go live, there would be this really weird energy of these people that looked dark and demonic. And they would be having like kids or babies and holding in their arms. And it was almost like they were projecting, like most of us were abused as children in some form or fashion or multiple ways. And it was like they were trying to get me rattled because maybe they had seen me cry on live or get emotional because I was just in the beginning of my journey and sharing it with the masses. And then the next thing you know, they started sending people to my store, and they would come in with babies, like to a CBD Delta 8 store. Like it was just really, really weird. And I could feel like they were almost like a form of gang stalking where they were projecting this energy onto me, and it made me very uncomfortable. I didn't really understand it. Now I want to fast forward. Throughout this journey, I have met witches, I have met warlocks, I have met people that didn't even know the energy that they carried, but you just knew. If you've ever felt like you've gone into public and for no reason people are staring at you and giving you a dirty look, like they want to make you uncomfortable, I felt that on this journey. Now, I didn't I didn't last too long in a lot of those places. I've seen people cast spells, I've seen all these things that I didn't want to believe. But I just want to move forward because the last 2 weeks I've talked about reptilians. And I started posting content because this stuff was finding me from the 1980s. As I've told you guys before, I was born in 1980. A lot of the programming that came out then was slowly, subliminally programming ourselves to understand good versus evil, but there was a reptilian element. And in the last 10 days, I had two people that are in the hip-hop music industry that tried to cast spells on me. Now, I'm not going to name names, But they did something where I felt it. I knew what they were trying to do. And ever since then, I've been getting hit with a weird energy where people are glitching. People are acting out of character. People are going and reverting back to their old program. And I haven't felt that in a while. It's not something that, I'm not saying it's, here we go. You always bring them out. How many of y'all make people very uncomfortable? Raise your hand if you make people uncomfortable or people act out of character. Do you trigger people for no reason? Okay? How many of y'all trigger people? It's something, there's something that exists inside of you as a part of your journey where you just make people act out of character for no reason. All of a sudden they cuss you or they say things. It's like they got Tourette's and they put something off on you. And I felt that firsthand. Now I want to say this. I forgive everybody and I love everybody. But I also understand Los Angeles, they call the city of angels. But I understand there is a different element of energy here. What you see right now in the collapsing of all systems in the world is what we accomplished and what we did. A lot of people were out there fighting on the streets or maybe fighting physically or you were fighting wars. This was always a war of the mind. And that's what's really happening right now. The energy is getting swept through. Raise your hand if they're spraying the skies where you're at in the world, or there's a fog in the world, or there's a weird energy that you feel like is trying to keep you suppressed. And then here's another weird one. I'm gonna compare it to this because I'm gonna show you what they're trying to do to you. Have you ever been in a toxic relationship? Or when you were a child, was your mom or your parent in a toxic, abusive, domestic violence relationship? Because I would always wonder, why do women go back to these toxic relationship or domestic violence? And so what it is the highs are very, very high and the lows are very, very low. They're always chasing that high like a drug addict because, oh, baby, I love you. Oh, baby, this. Oh, baby, that. That is exactly what's happening on the world front right now, where they're the same system, the same people that create the wars are the same people that are now giving you incentives like, oh, here's some crypto, here's this. But I want to make this very, very clear. There's so many people that are under a spell. It's dopamine. They want their dopamine fix from the abuser. But understand, they're just building us a new prison right now. Can you feel that and can you sense that? This is not to be totally negative, but the powers that be, light workers are not working in government. Can we agree on that? Star people or star seeds are not working in government. Can we agree on that? Or they might have traded in their, whatever you want to call what we have for that part of the matrix. But they give you things, they give you a little money, you might even get a little relationship. It's to gain your trust. Do you understand and do you see that? I'm not saying, oh, you're bad. Ultimately, this is all necessary to break all systems when you see what exactly is happening. But if 10 people own everything in the world, what does that tell you? It's a club and you're trading one prison for another. We came here for disclosure. We are not slaves. Everybody type right now, I'm not a slave. Just type it. Let's put that energy out here. Our galactic family, everything you see in the news is a distraction for us not waking up, for us not coming together. Go buy Greenland. Go do whatever you want. I'm not a slave. I am free. There you go. Type I'm free. I'm free. You can imprison me however you want, but you will never imprison my mind. Period. Now, some people are playing the other side. Some people are cozying up with people that are about to have perceived power. But the people who have the most power here are us. But most people don't see that because we still value things like material items and money and all these other things that just keep you. It's a different form of slavery. There's nothing wrong with having money. There's nothing wrong with having tangible items. But when you value that over human life, and when you're not telling people the truth, and when all of a sudden the same government that poisons your food, poisons your water, and poisons your air is saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't poison their food, water, and air. It's like Stockholm Syndrome, where people are starting to fall under the illusion and spell of, oh, I think they're actually good. No, we came here for disclosure. We didn't come here to be slaves. They could not pay you or me enough money or energy, period, in the matrix to take one of those positions. Now, if they want to start talking about we live in a holographic reality, or the fact that we can astral project, and this is going back several years, all the things that we know to be true that they're not admitting, you know. And let me tell you another little story. Now, this is one I want you to put your thinking cap on for what I'm about to say. I was in Ireland, and I met this brother that for no reason started talking to me about Vikings. Now, a lot of y'all know the story of Vikings. They were conquerors. They had boats, and you could go on and on. But he told me this story about how the Vikings used to conquer people. And he told me, imagine, let's just use Native Americans as an example. And this is not, I don't want to be insensitive to anybody on here. Just know that this is just an example. The Vikings, let's say, would go meet the Native Americans. And initially, they would try to conquer them. But then they saw that certain groups of people had spiritual gifts. So what they would do is they would make friends with the Native Americans, and they would ingratiate themselves in their community, and they would, learn all their customs and learn their spiritual gifts. And then in the middle of the night, they would slaughter them. They would take their crowns, and then they would take their traditions, and they would become part of them, basically. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? They would basically steal their entire culture. Now, I want you to put your thinking cap on. What group of people do you know in this world that could steal somebody's entire culture and all their spiritual gifts and secrets and then almost turn it into a negative? There's a very small group of people in the Middle East. I want you to put your thinking cap on. Now, we have good reptilians and we have bad reptilians. I can't say what you just said, but understand, a lot of those stories written in the Bible were not about the current regime that exists here. But here's the thing. This is why you cannot get mad at a certain group of people. There's people that know the truth. There's religious, whatever you want to call, that know the truth. The United States, MK Ultras people, the United States, this is where the programming comes in. You can go back to Britain and all these other world conquerors, that they are programming a civilization. They need a partner in crime, okay? And that's why we were born in the United States. You can say it in the comments. I can't say it. They keep slowing my voice down. The point I'm trying to make is, it's very easy to blame one group of people that you think own the entire world. They own the media and entertainment and the fashion business and all these other things. It's very easy to blame them, okay? But I'm just telling you, they have a partner in crime that's spying on people. They listen to people's devices. You understand what I'm trying to say. You have to love your neighbor as you. These people, a lot of these people still understand that we're all one. But the perceived person that we think owns everything and owns the United States government, it's really the other way around. If you have to really put your thinking cap on to see they're being used. They need somebody. They need basically a co-captain and a partner to run their schemes, because now it feels like we're under something with world domination. It feels like it. If the same group of 10 people own the internet and all the satellites, if the same group of people own all the social media sites, if the same group of people own all the real estate, what chance do we have? Have you asked yourself that? You see, slowly the snake starts to coil itself around you. It's a very, very slow process, and they cannot, it's not the Anunnaki. Let me just say this right now. I'm gonna clear up something. Those people that you see used to work for the CIA, the people that you see that are spiritual influencers, the people that you see are UFOologists, anybody that's still trying to sell you that the Anunnaki are evil is either controlled or they are parroting information from other people. If you want it, we're getting into a high level discussion. This may be your time to click off. But the reptilians have gone and changed the history books. The reptilians have gone and changed all of these ways of thinking, because what did we learn? Everything in the matrix is opposite. What you've been taught, you have to, it really comes down to your discernment and your intuition. But when I see people, everybody on here, I believe everybody on here has been hustled at some point, or you've seen somebody get hustled financially. Business, anybody ever had $1 million business stolen from you? You see what the snake does is they learn, they want the secret of your sauce, and then they wrap themselves around you. And it still happens to me today. It's an energy that exists. I don't want to say it's so much as a race or a religion, but it is an energy that exists here that is trying to keep you suppressed. There's an energy that exists here that you created that they don't know you created them. There are your shadow side. They are less spiritually evolved, but they're only doing what they're programmed to do. So if you understand the story of the Vikings, how many cultures have had their identity taken, or that you've learned about in history? Why do we consistently have weather manipulation? Let me just talk about that really quick. The reason that you see this whole shitstorm of all these things happening with, obviously it's the weather, it's politics. We don't even hear about drones anymore, but they're throwing so many storylines at you right now. 1 is to keep you distracted. 2 is to keep you divided. 3 is for you at the highest level. God is always in charge at the very highest level. Okay? You need to be able to identify the patterns of the people in your life. And how would you know if we all agreed on everything? They call us a cult. If we all, we know the patterns. Obviously, none of us would ever harm a child. We've talked about this many times. The reptilians harm children. The dark ones. We have light that's helping us too. Don't get it twisted. And if you feel like you could be a reptilian, I mean no offense to you. I love everybody. Okay? But the harming of children, this is all about an energy harvest. And I have proof. Okay? I have proof that I will be bringing to you guys every single day from now until January 20th. Every single day I'm going to bring you another grain of truth, because it's time. We put the clues as to who we are in our names and our birthdays and our addresses and every character that's ever come in our life, because ultimately this is a simulation and a video game. But if you feel like you're a detective, or that you've been on a case, or 007, okay, how about 007? 007, James Bond. Remember James Bond? There was always a villain that you see at the beginning. And then you another villain appears. But at the end, there was always another villain that was supposed to be on your side. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got to really start to use discernment and see. I'm going to say this again. There are no light workers in government. They are necessary for these systems to crash. But if you look at the amount of people who have CIA connections and the amount of mind control experiments that have been done on people, the proof was always there. The disclosure has been coming out since the dawn of time, but not enough people were at a frequency that would be able to understand it. And the last thing I'll talk about really quick, when I talked about the other day about the QAnon. QAnon people are very smart. They're very good at pattern recognition. Typically neurodivergent. a lot of them are not so much, they're not so much, what do you call it? They're not, I won't necessarily say that they're people. A lot of times they could be socially awkward, could be. But they give them all these things. They give them all this information, and they're able to decode and see through things to gain their trust. And it's also to smoke them out, for them to identify themselves. Because once the government knows how smart you are, look what they did to Nikola Tesla. If they knew that you were a light being and that you were communicating with higher guides and spirits, they would watch every single thing you do. This is why a lot of people, this is a funny one. How many times have people, Q is a psyop. I'm going to just say it. And if that makes you offended and you still think that there's a political savior or messiah, I'm sorry. I just hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not about being right. Most people would rather be right than win. That's sad. Most people would rather be right than win for the world. Most people don't live their life in service to others. It's about, what can I do for me? And that's just human nature. It is what it is. But I'll say it again. Q is a psyop. They are taking advantage of people. They are. And the people still grifting off it probably started off as a good thing, but ultimately it didn't end up as a good thing. You're your own savior. Thank you. You know how this works. You are your own savior. And I'm not saying this to come on and be negative. I'm just saying the reptilian energy is very, very good. Is a psyop for sure positive or negative? Because that matters. Well, listen, everything's designed to wake you up. It is up to you to decide. Everything here is about choice. Everything here is what you subscribe to. You can believe in anything you want. That's the beauty of living here. You can believe in anything you want. You can be anybody you want. But don't judge others, because why would you judge somebody else when you're really judging yourself? Just let people live their lives. People think that they're here to save the world, and you are. But it's saving your world. It's worrying about your circle. It's worrying about the people that are in your life. It's taking care of your business and your frequency and focusing on self. That's how you conquer this game. And when enough of us finally have had enough, you tap in and out of those frequencies. I know you do. It's very hard to see. You see people suffering. But again, I'm going to say it again. How many people on the political spectrum do you see talking about God right now? How many people do you see talking about spirituality that are in politics? How many people do you see in politics that are talking about fasting or meditating or loving your neighbor? Anybody who's preaching fear, listen to me. Anybody who's still preaching fear is not us. They are us, but they're not us on this timeline. You gotta wake up out of the spell. Do you hear me? You gotta wake up out of the spell. Don't try to wake anybody up. It's gonna get violent, and they will spiritually attack you. You just know, between me and you, I don't care. Any bruja tries to put a spell on me, I love you. But when are we all gonna come together and see we're all getting played? This is a game. The goal of the game is to come together as one. It's not a competition. It's not who can ascend faster. It's not who knows how to play more sound bowls. It's not who knows more gematria. It's not who's going to be the one to break the matrix. It's not a competition. Do you understand? So, again, I'm going to say, you can talk all those political people, and a lot of them I feel like are being used. It is Free Guy. We are the blue shirt guy that's waking up out of the game. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Love your neighbor. Love yourself. Forgive everyone. Forgive yourself. There is, and truly, no enemy, but there is an opponent, and that's to wake you up even more. Everything's about reclaiming our sovereignty and understanding that you are always being watched and monitored. But it's really you. You are Truman. You are Truman. You are watching you from the future. Why do you think they just re-released Interstellar in the movies? And they re-released Interstellar on Netflix. This is a 10-year-old movie. They talk about the fake moon landing. They talk about the earth is in trouble. But they also talk about you're always communicating with yourself. Those angel numbers are coming from you. You're guiding yourself to your ultimate highest timeline. So that's the message here. Those things that they're doing in government to try to win you over, guys, don't fall for it. If you've been in an abusive relationship, if you had an abusive relationship with your mom, it was up one day, it was down the next. Do you understand they are fracturing your conscience into a million pieces where you just sit there with applesauce and you obey? Yes, master. Yes. Yes, please. Thank you for the food. Thank you. Thank you for the air. No. And I know I'm joking a little bit about it, but come on, man. Don't fall for that, dog. Don't fall for it. Doesn't mean you have to speak out against it, because once you protrude negativity, you attract negativity. Everything is about you. That's it. And no fear. Do not fear. Laugh at them. When you feel like you're under attack or there's a reptilian near you, just laugh at them. They hate that. I promise you they hate that. So one more time, you guys, type where you're at in the world. If you subscribe to No Fear, just type where you're at in the world. I want to shout y'all out really quick. Where are you at in the world? If you get what I'm trying to say, just type where you're at in the world. Adelaide, we got Australia, Delaware, East Coast, Brooklyn, Florida, Ohio, Carolyn, Ohio, Anna, Texas, Houston, H-Town, Ladette, Iowa, Oregon. Hey, we got New Jersey, Droneville, Root, St. Augustine, Calabasas, California, No Fear, Colombia, Hernando, Florida, Orlando, Glendale, California, Chile, South Central Los Angeles, California. We got a lot of California, Bogota, Colombia. Perth. Hey, we got Perth. Penelope. Shout out Penelope. Minnesota. Washington, D.C. Canada. Look how many places we got in the world of people that just you see through it. South Beach, Miami. New York City. Peru. Pabi. New York. Nueva York. Jacksonville, Florida. Paris, France. We love to see it. We're all over the world. My point being is I want to say again, thank you all for being on here. I'm going to drop a video a day to show you that this entire system was built for exactly this time. We are being guided and helped by higher dimensional beings, Hawaii, by the Anunnaki, and these other star people and star beings that a lot of them we don't see, but we feel their presence. But it's got to stop. They got to stop spraying the skies. They have to stop putting out these negative frequencies. Enough is enough. This is all to regain our sovereignty. So thank you guys. I want to say I love you. Have a blessed, beautiful Tuesday night, and we'll be back soon.